Okay, I'm going to show you a really easy cross. We have got a canvas. You could also do this on Bristol board or whatever. We've got acrylic paint. Now we've got some bright colors, but we do this same picture with some neutral colors too, and it turns out really pretty. And then a palette knife, okay? And this is just an inexpensive one you can get for about $1. Now I'm going to start with my lightest color. So I'm going to start with the yellow. Now I have not used this shade of yellow before. It's a brand new paint for me, so we'll see. So you see how I dipped the whole thing in. I did not just dip the tip. The whole thing is dipped in, and then I'm going to wipe it off. Now, first up, I'm going to kind of lay out my cross. So I'm going to think, okay, here's where I want to start it. I'm going to almost do like a V shape. It is not going to connect though. It's just a similar V shape. I'm going back to get a little bit more paint. I dip it in, wipe it off. From here, I'm going to come up at an angle, just kind of at the bottom of this, just kind of coming up to the side. Now I want to do the same thing on the other side, but what I don't want is I don't want these to be like wonky. Like I don't want this one to be way up here. So I can kind of do like an invisible line. This is okay. That one comes about that high, so it's going to come to about right here. So I'll get a little bit more here. I'm going to connect from here to here using the back of this. Notice that I'm just kind of laying it. I'm not trying to draw with the tip. Next up, I'm going to come down a little bit. So here and here, I'm going to come down and I'm going to go out. So the bottom of the cross is going to be wider than the top. And one thing I can do to kind of check myself see if I'm centered is use my fingers down here and kind of say, okay, that's that far from the edge, you know, and that's about that far, just to make sure that it's about centered. And now I need to do the lower arms here of the cross. So I'll start here. I'm going to come down. Do that same little trick of kind of drawing an imaginary line. It's going to come over to about there. And all right, so there, I'm going to examine, see if I've got to fix anything. And I think that's about the right size. So now I'm going to start filling in color. Now when I say filling in color, I do not mean solid. I'm going to dip this in and wipe it off, and I'm going to just kind of tap in some color. Now every time that I'm going back to get more color, I'm dipping it in and wiping it off. This is what gives it kind of a rugged look, as opposed to if I just like scooped up a ton and did it on here, it just looked kind of plain. It just looked like, okay, you painted a yellow cross. I like there to be a little bit more texture. So we dip it in, wipe it off, and then rub. Now I know that I'm going to put more color in, so I don't want to go too color heavy with this yellow. Even though it's so bright, it's kind of addictive. It's like super duper bright. Like I'm wondering what it would do with a UV light. Okay, so there I've got that color on. I'm going just to wipe it on my paper towel, and I'm going to now go to like a pink. Again, I'm doing these with bright colors. Look at all that. Ugh, that's a lot. I'm not going to come straight from here to here. I got to wipe that off. All right. I'm doing this with bright colors, but we do this with all different kind of colors. Okay, if you wanted this to be like, this would be something like a teenager, an adult might, teenager or kid might like these colors. If you wanted to do a similar picture for like for your living room, if you're an adult, then you could do some tans and browns or really whatever colors. If you have like blues, you could do that. Dip it in, wipe it off. I will keep on saying that, okay? Because that is the most common mistake that we see, is that people forget the wipe. They'll dip right here and then go straight here. You gotta wipe it off, and you have to wipe it in a new area. If I take it and just wipe it right there, I'm kind of just putting more paint on it. You know what I mean? So kind of find a new area. Ooh, got too much there. Kind of tapping it. What I am not doing is scraping paint across. Oh no. Okay, so I got a glop right there. At the end, probably not for this video because I'm not set up for it, but all I have to do is splatter paint the whole background, and that will just look like I meant to do that. All right, so there is my pink. I'm going to now take my take my palette knife, wipe it off again, and this time I think I'm going to go to like that aqua blue. So again, y'all see, this is not too hard. Really, any age that can follow directions can do this, anywhere from first grade on up. Okay, so dip it in, wipe it off. This is my favorite way to paint, and I'm a grown adult, and I love painting with a palette knife. Now, with this blue, I'm going to primarily be on the edges. Usually with the darkest color, that is what you are going to focus on those edges with. Now, I'm not trying to draw a perfect line. I'm still kind of tapping it. Again, going here, dipping it in, wiping it off, and just tapping it. Now, sometimes, like right now, this is almost so wet that it's not taking the next color. Dipping it in, wiping it off. But I'm still rolling with it. And what you're gonna see is that when we're done with this, this has taken no time at all, but it's created a really cool picture that is not hard at all. So dip it in, wipe it off. If any of your kiddos are thinking about doing art, these are some great videos that we have been uploading that can kind of give you a feel for, you can grab some stuff and see if they like to follow along. And if they are loving it, they may be ready for some lessons. So there we go. I'm gonna keep looking. Don't want any more. I may do a little bit more up there at the top. Okay, and that's it. I could put more in there if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to almost stop. It's hard to stop, but that's that. And usually we finish this up with some splatter paint just so that this background is not so white. But if I do that right here on camera, the camera is going to get crazy. Ursula, what tool are you using to apply the paint? This is just a palette knife, okay? And this is like a you get it for $1 at Michael's. Now, there are more expensive kind that are fun, but this one will work. Okay, it's just plastic, $1 at Michael's. And I just put everything on the back of not on the tip. Okay, some people think that you have to pick it up and like write with it. No, I'm positioning everything. Like if you were to look at this from a side view, this whole thing is touching the canvas, not like this, but like this. Okay, so anyway, hopefully that makes some sense, and y'all pick up a palette knife and have some fun with it. See ya.